And, different examples are, so you have a 2-year-old and, I know some people say, what do they call it? What do they call it?
Terrible twos.
Terrible twos. See, like, again, this is another example. We have never accepted that in our family.
I didn't either. I never had it.
Because you never spoke it, because you never expected it, you never allowed it, and you never had it.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
I am here with my good friend, Greg Francis. I'm Brad Wolgamott, your host of the day. Welcome back to Season 4. We've been going at this for a minute now. I believe this will be actually our 50th episode, which is no ground-shattering number because we're with the podcast champion. Season 1 of Greg's high-performance parenting and Redwood parenting ran 135 episodes in Season 1. It's good to see you, Greg. Greg and I go back a couple decades now. We've been in business together for a long time. We've done a lot of projects working with young men. We've been to a lot of conferences together. Played some golf, played some tennis, raised a dozen children between the two of us, and share dogs. And our lives have been pretty woven. So it's good to have you, Greg. Super blessed that you give us some time to talk a little bit about parenting. Talk a little bit about what I've experienced. If you don't mind, Greg, I'll just say that having observed you as a father and Jackie as a mother and the way your kids operate within your house, I've been trying to get you on this podcast for quite some time, and it happened at the perfect timing because I really want to transition this season into a lot of parenting, a lot of marriage things. Of course, we'll always be blending in identity. The Man Maker show is about creating great men, and I think most households, men are a little confused about how to parent. And so as a result, they don't. And I grew up in an environment where my dad was around, but he wasn't active. And so I didn't know what I didn't know. My reality was dads are quiet and mom does the best she can. And we just try to avoid getting a slap down. Right. That's kind of how I learned is like my dad would say nothing until he exploded. And then it was, Katie, bar the doors, it's going to be a bad deal. So watching your kids grow up from little babies to now a couple of drivers, the twins are drivers, right?
Yeah.
God help us.
I know.
But what a relief because you've been an Uber driver for the last 5 years.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But, Greg, maybe just give us an idea of what high performance parenting is or Redwood parenting. You kind of have both brands out there. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of that, how and why, and then maybe we'll get into some of the parenting topics.
Yeah, well, first, I appreciate you just having me on here, and I love what you're doing. I love the Man Maker show. I promote it to everybody, everywhere I'm at. And the information and the wisdom that comes from not only your just incredible work habit and personal development on top of mix that with so much life experience and your just desire to make an impact in the world. And it's a special show, man. So thanks for sticking it out. And 50 episodes pretty cool because most of your episodes are, they're meaty, right? And I know that everybody that I've had listen to them, and I just say, just study it and share it and just go crazy with it because it's gold. So our journey, as far as high performance parenting, it's kind of interesting because, when Jackie and I first got married, one of our big discussions before we decided to get married was, it was kind of like, you don't want to have kids, right? Because I don't really want to have kids. And so she wanted to go become a CEO of something. I honestly was just like, the way I grew up, I grew up in a really dysfunctional family, as you know, and I saw a lot of what not to do, I would say. And you can see it how my siblings have actually turned out in many ways. It's been kind of kind of rough. So like my perspective was, why would I want to bring kids into this crazy world? And even if I did, I don't know what to do with them. So, I think I'm just going to kind of tap out of this. But somewhere along the way, I had opportunity for some good people to show up in my life that became like role models to me. And I got, for the first time in my life, this is like 27 years old, where I got to see what a healthy family looks like. And I had never seen it before. I'd never seen it. And when I saw it, and even when Jackie saw it, it really sparked something in us. Like, wait, that's how this can be. Kids that honor their mom and dad. Mom and dad that are together. Like they're kind of a team that are doing life together, and it's happy and it's joyful and it's peaceful. And I was just like, I had never seen it. And so it sparked a desire in me over time to really start studying people that had fruit in the tree. And the more I studied them, the more I realized, like, man, there's a way that this works. And for them and for me, it just was like these guys were following biblical principles into their parenting, into their marriage, into their home. And they weren't perfect, but they were walking this out with a lot of intentionality. And here's what it did. It showed me that, okay, this doesn't have to just be like a crapshoot, you know, whether my family works out or not. If I follow these principles, I can make things happen. This could be a really healthy thing. And so I got super hungry for studying the best resources I could from people I trusted, and Jackie both. And the other advantage, I think, was because of the dysfunction I grew up in. I knew that all that was messed up. So I didn't have to like navigate trying to get rid of that. I was like, I'm scrapping all that. What's new, over here? How does this work? And so that really started our journey. Now, as far as the podcast goes with high performance parenting, because we have been so intentional with our parenting from the time our kids have been little. We have, for those that don't know us, we have 6 kids. We had 5 really quick. We had twins, and then it was just like at one point we had 5 kids 4 and under, if you can imagine such a thing.
How do
And
you do
then
that?
yeah, no. Then we waited a few years, and then we have our last one, who's Hunter. So our kids are 16 down to 6 of them, 5 girls, 1 boy, and we have been trying our best to like be as intentional as possible. I had somebody ask me one time, how do you want to be described as a parent when it's all said and done? And I said, I really hope that the number one word that is used is intentional. That's really what my goal has been. So we've been navigating this process of raising champion kids in a crazy world. As we've been doing that, and just living life, we've had so many people ask us, how does your family? I don't understand. When I get around your family, your kids are peaceful, they're happy, they're honoring, they're respectful, they're confident. Like, I don't get it. And it wasn't just one, it was all 6 of them. And they're just like, how do you do this? And I'm sitting here thinking, do you have about, 4 weeks to talk about this? Because
Yeah.
this is all I've been doing for a living for 16 years now. And so we started the podcast literally for 2 main reasons. One was, so when people asked us questions, I felt like I wasn't giving it enough attention to serve people properly. So I'm like, if I can send them somewhere where they can actually study, then that's going to be a blessing to them. And number 2, I knew that there's going to be a season when my kids have kids, and I know that if I'm going to try to remember what we were doing when we had a 6-year-old, when we're 20 years older than that, it'll be almost impossible. So we wanted to memorialize some of what we'd learned, so our family can actually go back and learn from what we did with them. So that was a big part of why we even started the podcast.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you nailed it on the head, Greg. I mean, having been an observer from visiting you guys back in Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, for a handful of years, and then somehow, by God's grace, you guys moving out here to the West Coast and us getting closer. We used to be about a 5.5, 6 hour flight combo. Now we're a 5 to 6 hour drive. And I was talking to Greg yesterday. I said, my plane, 280 miles an hour. I'm there in an hour, right? I just got to reactivate. So we're getting closer and closer. Because everybody listens to this podcast. If you have kids, I wish you could see how this family operates. And I don't say it just to blow up Greg, because they're pretty solid in their own self-image. They don't need that, but sometimes seeing is believing, right? And people say, "Well, how can you do that with 6 kids and 3 dogs?"
Yeah.
3 big dogs that eat raw food. They have a refrigerator with them. They travel hauling all the food for them. I mean, these guys are a van that's, I don't know how many feet it is, but they call it the Fran van. It is an impressive rollout when they show up, and yet everybody has a role. everybody's engaged. Everybody finds a way to attitude check when they're hangry. I'm sure there's meltdowns, Greg, but I've never seen one. And if there are, they must be short lived because you build things in. So maybe we could start off with how did you instill or install the desire to contribute? Because kids by nature are born completely selfish, right? I need to be clothed, I need to be bathed, I need to be fed, I need to be changed. And then along the line somewhere, kids have to start assuming some responsibility, and parents tend to parent like a baby, and they just enable this behavior of a non-contribution. They don't take their their plate to the table. They don't help with dishes. They don't clean the house. They barely clean their room. They don't contribute. And I've been in your house, and man, one kid's over here, making bread. Another person's over here, cleaning the barbecue. Another person's downstairs getting ready to mow the lawn. I'm like, how did this machine happen? And yeah, it's amazing to me. So maybe if you don't mind, it takes a little time. How did you instill that? Is it desire? Is it discipline? Is it the fear of God? What is it that created this desire to serve in the family needs? That Jackie's not running ragged, out of gas, pulling her hair out. I mean, Jackie is the most peaceful person at home because she's designed this intentionally. So I'll stop talking. If you could, this is a big, big, big question. If we could probably spend 2 days on it alone.
Yeah, we could, and maybe before I get into some of the specifics, I'll just share with you a little bit more of the philosophy behind it. And I think our core parent, we have probably 3 or 4 really core parenting principles that we live by. The first one is the biggest one, and it says in I think it's Proverbs 9:10, I think it is, that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And fear meaning, of course, like deep reverence, not like being afraid. But and I really have taken this scripture to heart, that I have such a deep reverence for God and His instruction that I really wanted to understand. Okay, what does this mean that I'm a father? What does it mean that I'm raising kids? What does God think about this? And what I've learned is that these kids aren't our kids. These kids are God's kids, and this is at the core of everything. And so I don't see myself, Jackie and I, we don't see ourselves as the owners. We see ourselves as the managers. If you have a baseball team and you have the owner and his goal is to win a World Series, and that's success. The manager thinks if we make it to playoffs, that's success. Well, that manager's going to get fired after a season because he's not on the same page of following out what the owner's desire is. And so we see ourselves as people who are not owning our kids. We actually are managing them in a season right now, right? And so having that at the core, everything that I've learned or everything that I naturally may want to do, I have to really check it through the owner, if that makes sense. It helps keep me on track. And what does the owner want? What does God want for all of our kids? I think He wants healthy, fully unlocked, disciplined world changers who are confident. They have high character, and they're equipped, to be able to fulfill their purpose, whatever that purpose is that God has put on their life, specifically. And so our job is to, like, how do we help them get there, right? So this is one of our main core philosophies. Okay, another one is that Jackie and I have just decided that we will be a unified team as parents, meaning that we had different experiences growing up, completely differently. And so we've had to have a lot of head-to-head conversations, some intense, some really peaceful, but we just knew that we're going to go into a room and we're going to discuss different topics when it comes to how we're handling things with our kids, and we're going to be unified before we walk out there and actually instill it into our kids. There's not going to be in our house, it's not allowed in our house that one kid can feel like dad's a softie and mom's not, or vice versa. There's none of that. Dad's a disciplinarian, mom's not. Like, there's none of that. Like, we are a team and we back each other, and they know this. Like, they know this throughout, and so that's another major philosophy. It's one thing that I really see that a lot of parents, I think, are missing, is that they don't take the time to really dig in and see what are we gonna what does discipline mean in our household, right? Well, I got this was treated, I was done this too, most people experience punishment. They didn't experience discipline, right? Difference, right? I mean, discipline, the root word is disciple. We're supposed to be discipling our kids. We're supposed to be doing it we're supposed to be correcting them for their improvement, right? Not punishing them because we're angry or we're out of control, right?
Yeah, that's so good.
And we could go down that path with discipline. We maybe a little
I'll
bit
bet.
because it's a big one, and it's a massive part of why our kids are the way that they are, for sure. But anyways, so my kids, they understand that our philosophy, that they are not our kids, but in that we have to be honoring to our Father in heaven, and therefore we expect them to be honoring to us as their parents here on earth, right? And so they're very aware. Like I when we've had to do different types of discipline, it's as hard for me to do as it is for them to receive it. But I explain to them but this is out of my reverence for God. This isn't my choice. If I don't feel like it doesn't matter. I still have to do it. Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt, but we are out of time for this episode. But I promise you, this conversation keeps getting better and better. So do not miss the next episode where we continue this awesome conversation between me and Brad. Just want to quickly say thank you so much for being such a great supporter of the High Performance Parenting Podcast. Please continue to like and share it with everyone that you know. And most importantly, thank you for having the heart and the desire to raise champion kids in a crazy world. Bye for now.